dust storm, and you probably remember from the previous slides, from my apartment it was perfectly possible to see across the Nile and the rest of the city, but we used to get these pollution storms, basically is what they were, and they would come and you couldn't see even across the river because it was so polluted. And what was happening is, or what we were told is happening, is that because the Nile no longer floods seasonally, the farmers can fit in an extra season, an extra growing season. But in order to do this, they have to get rid of all of the agricultural waste. So they just burn it. And so then you get days like this. But on the other hand, this particular storm, it rained right after the storm, which is really rare. I think it happened one time while I was there. And then it was as clear as I've ever seen it. So it was beautiful. Next slide, please. That's at the big mall called City Stars. The City Stars Mall. And you can probably see that the painting behind me is actually painted on top of a rug. Someone's taken an old piece of carpeting and they painted on it. And the thing is that the first time I saw this, I was in a real estate agent's office. It's called simsar in Arabic. And interestingly enough, that also means something like thief. In case you were wondering. And I was there with these two other girls, and we were in this office, and we're sitting down, and we look up, and there's a giant mural across from us. I mean, it's certainly as large as this screen projected there. And what it was is a giant painting of Diana, Princess Diana, and Dodi al-Fayed. So we're looking at it, and we're already, a little bit bemused by this. And then somebody walks up to it, and then she looks around, and then she comes back, and she goes, "It's painted on a rug!" And we're all like, so of course, we took some photos with it, but I've lost my photos, unfortunately. So this is the only rug painting that I have. And so then we're trying to compliment, the woman that owns the Diana. She's like, "Oh, Dahila Awi, the Kwayasa Awi," which means it's very beautiful, it's very sweet. And unfortunately, the person that was saying that, I was really sad that I could understand that sentence because I really almost started laughing. Next slide, please. These are just street views. I took this one that's on the bottom inside of a Cinnabon. Cairo and Cinnabon. Yeah, there's many Cinnabons. I mean, they're all over the place. Cairo is extremely globalized. There's McDonald's, there's Starbucks, there's Cinnabon, there's a Hardee's, which is really funny to see written out in Arabic. You're like, Hardee's, oh, it's the Hardee's. And it's just full of chain stores and chain restaurants. I mean, around the corner from the Cinnabon was a Burger King, a Pizza Hut, and a McDonald's all in a row. And it's just common. On one hand, it's really sad. On the other, when I really wanted to get away from everything that was going wrong in my life in Cairo, I would go to the Cinnabon, and it was air conditioned in there, and they had lovely Cinnabon things, and I could just sit there and watch everybody else on the street having a hard time, and I was, in my little tower of serenity. And the one on the right is, that's Mohandisin, which is a different district of Cairo. That means the two engineers, Mohandisi. The quality of life that day was really beautiful. I took that from a roof. Next slide, please. Right, this is my air quality protection when I was riding over taxis. It kind of worked. Kind of. My parents had to send me these because I was having the asthma issues, and I really did want to go outside. So every time I have to go in a taxi, especially because all the taxis there are, all the cars in Cairo, not all the cars, but most of the cars in Cairo are like old Peugeots and like worn out old Renaults and things that are no longer in production, basically. And one time I was riding in a taxi, and the guy had to hold the car in gear because it was so poorly maintained that he could no longer get it to go in gear. Also, those are my two roommates over there, and that I took a picture because it's a very common and popular thing to decorate your taxi when you have one. Usually this involves various flashy LED lights and things. My favorite one that I ever saw was, I got in this taxi, and I put my head and I look up, and he'd hung like plastic grapevines and grapes from the ceiling just inside the car, and you're like, okay, as you do, Next. That's Giza. That's at night. It's about 11 o'clock at night, I think, and as you can see, there's still people shopping and walking along the street. And that's the pyramid. It's from my friend Sarah's house. And the other picture is Sequoia is a very famous and lovely restaurant which is on the tip of the island where I lived, called Zamalek. And so you have a panoramic view all around the Nile from one side to the other. And you can see that the train to Luxor goes past on the bridge and things. So, and that was a full moon that night as well. It was just one of my favorite nights in Cairo. Next slide, please. This is Wissa Wasef. This is a little outside Cairo. It's an arts collective. Wissa Wasef was, I think he was an architect, and he designed this beautiful place to work actually. And now the people that work there, they make carpets and batik and pottery, and you can buy it. And they have shows actually all over the world. I've seen them have shows in London and things. And it's just a beautiful place to work, which is and to be, which was really, Cairo in Egypt is really it's really hot most of the time, and it's really noisy, and it's really dusty, and it's really intense. So to step into a world that was really beautiful and calm was quite a novelty. So I really enjoyed seeing that. Next one, please. This is Saqqara. It's one of the pyramid complexes, although it's not near Giza, it's south of Giza. It's also older than Giza. As you can see, it's a step pyramid. I'm sorry you can't see that one as well, but those pyramids are even further south of where I was standing, on the top there. And then on the bottom right, that's a view of the Nile Valley from the desert plain. So the way the desert works in Cairo, in Egypt, is you have the Nile Valley, which is low, but it's full of plants and life and green things. And then suddenly, you drive up a hill that is made of sand, and then everywhere you look beyond that is desert. It's the plain is higher than the valley, and all of that is just the Sahara. I mean, suddenly you drive out of the date palm trees and you're in the Sahara, and that's it. I mean, there's no gradual fewer and fewer trees. It's very concrete and discrete. There's no it's very either or. And there's a camel in that picture. All right, next slide, please. The Mugama. This on the top left is the Mugama, and that is the government building where you have to go if you want to get any, your visa renewed, or if you're looking for, if you're Egyptian and you want to get, I think, different kinds of licenses for things, or permissions to do things. Excuse me, it's just as confusing inside the building as it looks from the outside. I remember going in there, and actually I didn't really have too bad of a time of it. I found my way around easily, and I got my visa renewed easily. But you walk inside, and there's like these tiny hallways, and they're going in all these different directions, and you can't tell where to go. And like you look into a courtyard, and there's these papers for some reason spilling from the windows on the top, and you're like, what's going on? This is like Kafka. I don't understand. And then over there, next to that is just the desert road. I accidentally had to go out to the American University campus one time, and they used to be across the street from the Mugama. Just before I arrived in Cairo, they moved like 30 miles out into the desert, and there's nothing around them. I mean, nothing. So that's what it looks like when you're going there. There on the bottom is the TGI Fridays, which is on the boat in the Nile, as you do, and then that's Giza again. That's from my friend's apartment again in the daytime. Next slide, please. And that's it.